Welcome in, everybody, to Big 12 football and beyond. I am Chris Landry. Happy to have you with us here. And we're wrapping up we've got all the conference shows done. We've got one more to do tomorrow, actually, the second version of SEC football and beyond. But we're going to be breaking down the Big 12, what happened this past week inside the film room. Going to bring it to you there. All brought to you by our good friends at BetDSI. Great message for you. Stay tuned for that. But where is the Big 12 now? Latest news and notes. Talking with the Oklahoma coaches, they feel very confident that the offense is close to coming around. We had some good performances inside the league this week. Jaylen Warren, we're going to get into it, from Oklahoma State, was one of them. Israel Ibrahim is going to miss the rest of the season for Texas. Velton Gardner, the Kansas running back, has entered the transfer portal. Those are some of the latest news and notes. We've got all the details over at LandryFootball.com for all the news and notes of what's going on around college football. So make sure that you check that out today. Make sure that you take advantage of the football season sale. That'll get you all the latest information of what's going on behind closed doors in these college football programs, in the NFL facilities, what's going on at practices, all the injury updates, in the case of college football, transfer, you name it, the whole kit and caboodle of what's going on. We're going to take you game by game, what happened and what's going on and why. Going to take your questions. Encourage you. Look, if you're listening to this as a podcast, we appreciate you. If you can join us live, go to LandryFootball.com, hit follow Chris on Twitch, and you can watch the show live. Ask questions, and we'll break it down for you and get into it. So we appreciate everybody joining us. Make sure that you sign up for Big 12 football and beyond wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate you doing that. So we'll get to the mailbag section towards the end of the show. If we don't have any questions, we'll move on, and certainly understand and appreciate everybody joining us. We're going to take a look at the schedule for this week. The key game is West Virginia, Oklahoma. In fact, it is one of the three featured games over at LandryFootball.com, along with Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Arkansas, Texas A&M. It will be West Virginia and Oklahoma that I will break down inside the film room. Now, don't get me wrong. We break down all the games. We have every game broken down by conference for you. We'll pick the game. We'll tell you what to look for. That's what LandryFootball.com is all about. We take that to the next level and to the next step with some of these featured games. And it just so happens that is the game this weekend that is the featured game. We're going to get into the other games that are in the conference this week. So stay tuned for that. But first, let's get to the week that was and what we uncovered inside the film room when breaking down the Big 12 teams. Of course, you know that Oklahoma had a close call against Nebraska, and as we broke it down in the Big 10 podcast on Tuesday, Nebraska had every opportunity to win the football game, and mistakes in the kicking game certainly hurt their chances. Game could have played out a little bit differently, and maybe Oklahoma would have done some things differently, but nowhere did I think this game was going to be all that competitive. It, if anything, breathed a little life into Nebraska and Scott Frost. It was a closer game than I thought. It was highlighted by the mistakes of Nebraska, and the catch by DJ Graham, the leaping one-handed interception, was one for the ages. But let's get into more detail, shall we? When watching the game, and certainly you've heard me discuss my feeling of how Lincoln Riley, as he grows and develops as a head coach, he's got to grow and break the shackles of being an offensive coordinator and become a head coach. The game plan for Nebraska, and it was a well-executed game plan for Nebraska against Oklahoma's offense, was to play a too-high shell and force the ball underneath. If you take Spencer Rattler and Lincoln Riley, they're both like two wild Mustangs that want to go deep and want to attack, want to go fast, and it's trying to put a saddle on those guys. And Nebraska's game plan was going to be, we're going to frustrate them. And we're going to make them just take little bites and not big chunks. And I kept saying, hey, if you're Oklahoma, run the football. Get them out of a little too high looks, and then you can attack them all you want. Run the football. Be patient. They weren't in the first half. In the second half, Oklahoma began to run the football, run it more effectively. And no, it didn't have a style point. So what's wrong with Oklahoma's offense? In many ways, being able to run the football was a step in the right direction. He took control of that, and I was proud of him. I think that's a step, again, in the right direction. And do not think that because they don't score 50 points that they're not getting it done. You know, people will say that he doesn't want to throw it deep. Well, you don't throw it deep against a too high shell. Okay? Be cautious about that. You've got to run things that are what we call beaters over the middle that you can have success. Now, Spencer has thrown just 6 passes of longer than 20 yards. Okay? Because they're playing soft zones against them. Take advantage of that. Eat them up underneath. Have patience. And as a coach, you've got to work that more of a factor. You've got to work the running game. You do that, you work the short passing game. Absolutely. No question about it. The reason why explosive offenses like Alabama last year were explosive is because they're committed to running the game. They will run the football. And then they'll take their shots. Oklahoma ran for 194 yards and passed for 214 on Saturday. That's the type of balance that they're going to need. And if they can run it well and will run it effectively and play better on the offensive line, then they're going to start dictating the defenses, and the big pass game is going to happen. Credit Nebraska's tough, tenacious, gritty, and disciplined game plan defensively to get it done. Defensively for Oklahoma, still having some problems getting off the field, which is all the more reason that you've got to play better ball control if you're the Sooners. The 2 biggest plays of the game for Oklahoma were on defense, and they were credited with 5 sacks, 10 tackles for losses, both season highs. But Nebraska was able to sustain long, time-consuming drives, which takes away from Oklahoma's offensive opportunities. What has had success against Oklahoma in the past is some of the Iowa State looks, the Kansas State looks, and Nebraska took a game plan out of that. That's what most people are taking their game plan from. How do you defend Oklahoma's offense? That's how you do it. And until you're able to have that ability to run a 4-minute offense and run the football and take the short passing game, until you have the patience and show the patience to do that, they're going to sit there in a too high shell all day. I thought Oklahoma did a good job defending the run against Nebraska. I thought it did a good job of containing Adrian Martinez. They were held to just 95 yards overall on the ground, 2.5 yards a rush. Now, I do think the height of Nebraska's receivers caused some problems for Oklahoma's secondary, something that's plagued them the past couple of games. You see, people will say things like, well, the defense is getting better because they held a team to 23 points. That's not better. That's not worse. You got to watch the game, and you got to understand what's going on. Nebraska outgained Oklahoma through the air, 289 to 214. They didn't play as well defensively, Oklahoma, as you might think. I thought the biggest difference in the game was the special teams collapse by Nebraska. And, I think that there's room for improvement on both sides of the ball for Oklahoma. So we'll see how things project there. Big-time win for West Virginia over Virginia Tech, 27-21. After losing to Maryland on the road in week 1, I'm seeing some improvements out of this West Virginia team. They took an early lead, had the 80-yard run by Letty Brown. It's only the second play from scrimmage. West Virginia led throughout the game, but nearly blew a 20-point advantage after 2 Virginia Tech four-quarter touchdowns. They got a short field to take the lead. West Virginia threw an interception late in the game. But the Mountaineers defense held on both third and fourth downs. Nice job. It was the worst game probably for Jarret Doege's career. He wasn't good deep. He wasn't good underneath. He wasn't good on play action. He wasn't good on dropbacks. He wasn't good when they kept the pocket clean, and he wasn't good under duress. So it just wasn't a really good performance for him, yet they were able to get out of it with a win. That's saying an awful lot. They didn't attack Connor and Nasir People quite as much as I thought they could have. Tackling in space, did a great job of doing that, especially when the Mountaineers ran that short prevent defense look. They did a really nice job. Really nice job. The two areas where they need to rotate more are at receiver and the defensive line, and I think we're starting to see some of that. So I'm impressed. I don't think that they're going to have the success against Oklahoma. I think we're going to see Oklahoma get it together this week, but that's going to be a fun game to watch in the highlight game of the weekend. Oklahoma's got West Virginia this weekend, Kansas State next weekend, and then Texas the following week, and TCU following that. So a 4-game stretch that's going to test the Sooners, and I think we're going to see the Sooners start to hit their stride. And for West Virginia, I think they've got Texas Tech and Baylor and then a bye week before TCU. I don't know their best effort beats Oklahoma this week. Kansas State wins over Nevada 38-17. They had a really good performance in week 1, and Stanford's improved quite a bit then. But they took care of Stanford. Then they held on to beat Southern Illinois after losing the quarterback. And then they scored 3 touchdowns to solidify this 3 touchdown late to solidify this victory. Very, very impressed. Chris Kleiman has done a really good job. Howard played very well. Hit the tight end, Emita Borde, for a big touchdown pass on the second play of the game. I thought the offensive line really wore down Nevada's defensive front. They had 269 yards on 48 rushing attempts. There's no secret what Kansas State's trying to do. They're going to try to run. They're going to run the football. They're going to attack in the run. They're going to try to get you miss a line, and they're going to try to gash you. It's a man football game. They own the line of scrimmage. They control the ball. They control the tempo. And they kept Carson Strong, the outstanding pro prospect quarterback, on the sideline much of the game. So it was by design, and it was a really good performance. I thought they did a good job defensively against Strong, but you take a quarterback out of his rhythm when you don't get him as many snaps. So really good job there. I thought the defense did a pretty good job tackling, rallying to the ball. I thought they owned the line of scrimmage. Really, really good performance. They create turnovers. Ball security was an issue against Southern Illinois. That improved. It's a really good win for Kansas State. It's a better win than it might appear because of who's on the other side at quarterback for Nevada. Now you get into conference play. You get an opener this week for them as they got Oklahoma State before they get Oklahoma. So we'll see how this plays out. This Oklahoma State's got some playmakers. They're starting to find their sea legs a little bit. That's going to be a little fun game. We'll get to that in the breakdowns. Baylor beats Kansas 45-7. Baylor went to Lawrence, and the offense just exploded. 576 yards, 269 in the air, 307 rushing. Jerry Bohannon was very effective. Abram Smith ran the football well. This was a really impressive performance for Kansas. The quarterback play is very average again. There's just not playing well around him. They can't run the football. They can't protect. They can't create run creases. But blitz pickup is a big-time problem. This is a long rebuild, a bad roster, a bad inherited issue. They've got to fix a lot. They're not good defending the run. They're not Baylor pick whoever they wanted to run the football. threw the football Bohannon was very, very comfortable. No pressure, no coverage. Special teams wasn't very good. Just a bad-looking football team. I mentioned in the last hour that Arizona is a bad football team. If you want to see a bad versus bad game, let's put Arizona and Kansas together, and let's have some kind of a matchup there to really see who's truly the worst, because those two teams have looked the absolute worst on tape. I think Arizona's worse, but I'd love to see it to find out. Baylor, running game continues to impress. They dominated on the ground. Abram Smith ran the football well. Jerry Bohannon, again, has got versatility. I thought he ran it. He threw it well. They had good balance on offense. When you run the football, it opens up opportunities. Receivers started to make plays. R.J. Sneed played well for them. I thought they were effective and efficient on third and fourth down. Did a really nice job there. The emergence of the tight ends were significant. They made some big plays against Kansas. I thought that they've got some good play from Ebner. I think, he and Yates stepped in both the fullback / tight end role in short yardage goal line situations. I thought the defensive play was really good. They only allowed 14 points in the past two games. Again, opponent, I get it. But the defense forced Kansas to punt 8 times throughout the game. No luck running the football against this Baylor defense. It's did all the necessary things you needed to do to take a step forward. The alternative is to play poorly against a bad team. They didn't do that. They played very, very well. So good job by Baylor this week. Texas Tech was able to win 54-21 over Florida International. Sonny Cumbie's offense showed up. They had 585 yards. Tyler Schaff, the former Oregon quarterback, 26-35, 399. First two games, he's thrown for a combined 28-45 for 384. They are showing improvements on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It was a slow start for them, but they dominated the game. I thought Schaff played pretty well in this game. I thought he moved the team. He led the team. I thought he was comfortable. I thought he was very decisive in his reads, getting the ball out. I thought he did a very good job spreading the ball around. Kalen Geiger, receiver, needs somebody to step up other than Iguana. He did a good job there. So I'm curious to see where they go going forward. I don't think they can beat Texas, but that's going to be the challenge this week that they get. The tight ends, when you get the type of matchups that they got against the linebackers, you can start to see them having some success. Thought he did a really good job. I thought Marquise Waters played pretty well at safety. The momentum switch was pretty early and pretty significant. Very, very impressive job. I think we're going to begin to learn a little bit more about Texas. We saw Texas beat Louisiana Lafayette. Really impressed. They got hammered by Arkansas. Arkansas may be really, really good. Texas took care of Rice. I mean, they did what you needed to do against Rice. 58-0. They responded. They ran the football. They got good play from the quarterback position. Thompson was 15 for 18, not big numbers, but 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. The game plan schemed around the issues on the offensive line that's creeped up, and you're seeing, I think, a better coaching around what they have. High volume of high percentage throws, get the ball out of his hands quickly. They didn't feature Thompson's legs in the offense, but they got the ball out quickly. I thought it was a really good game plan, really good call. They were a superior team, no doubt, but they took advantage of it. I thought they played well at the running back position. I thought the receivers stepped up and did some good things in this game. I thought Whittington, you didn't catch a bunch of balls, but I thought they did a good job getting open. Jared Wiley did some good things. So offensive line, that's still an issue. It wasn't all that dominant against Rice, which is concerning. But overall, some improvements, no doubt. Look, it was Rice. I get it. But I thought they did some good things in this game. Oklahoma State was able to beat Boise 21-20. There was questionable issues, but they a play calling issue. Excuse me, a official call that could have cost them, but they were managed to win the game. They went to the blue turf, where Boise rarely loses. They did a very nice job there. Boise took the early lead. Oklahoma State had the go-ahead touchdown. Neither defense allowed any points in the second half. Late in the game, Oklahoma State fumbled at their own 40. Boise recovered, looked to have the scoop and score after the review. It was Boise ball. But at the place of the fumble, it looked a little bit different. Boise attempted a 36-yard field goal to take the lead, but it was blocked. So a disaster averted there. So, for Oklahoma State, down 13 points in the first half, they forced its way back in the game against Boise. They eventually took the 21-20 lead at halftime. It was a strange game for Oklahoma State, who struggled offensively. A couple of things that jumped out at me. Jaylen Warren is a ball player. He's the impact transfer that Oklahoma State was looking for and clearly has. Without Warren, they don't leave this game with a win. The transfer from Utah State had a career day against Boise. He rushed for 218 yards, 2 touchdowns on 32 carries. He took over this football game, a team that's well-positioned, really good job there. They were trailed 10-0 in the first quarter. Oklahoma State they were desperate to get something going offensively, and then Warren took over. So really, really impressed with the job that Warren was able to do. He's a big-time player. Jaylen Warren was the biggest factor in the game. I thought Jim Knowles dialed up some good defensive calls in the second half. The defense started the game with a little room for error in this game, but I thought they did a really good job. They mixed things up enough. The linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez, forced a fumble late in the second quarter. That kind of turned things around. I thought they got good performance out of Kobe Harville-Peel. He intercepted that Boise Hank Bachmeier on a deep throw. Even special teams. Jason Taylor did a really good job in that block. So Kalen Cavanis is a walk-on that's come a really good player for him. I thought Spencer Sanders played well when he absolutely had to. Oklahoma State's dealing with a lot of injuries. I know a lot of people are. They are definitely, and they're not a team that could sustain it. At first it was Trey Ford, then Tay Martin, now Trey Sterling. Each week it's something there. But I thought Sanders was outstanding. Warner was particularly outstanding. I'm curious to see where things head this week for the Cowboys as they've got Oklahoma State this week. I think one of the intriguing games on the docket. Iowa State went to UNLV and won 48-3. They bounced back after the Cy-Hawk game. They travel well, and they did a really nice job. And, of course, who doesn't want a nice trip to Vegas? They were able to get that done, be very effective. Early in the second quarter, Iowa State was looking to take a 3-score lead. They went for it on fourth down. The ball, Breece Hall tried to get in the end zone. Ball spun out, turned the football over. He's not playing his best ball by his stretch. Brock Purdy's not playing his best ball. He fumbled on the 16-yard line. It wasn't a clean game. We're not seeing Iowa State play their typical clean game. It's almost like since they're good enough, they don't seem to be their typical clean game, good performance. I didn't think Xavier Hutchinson played all that well this week. Had multiple passes hit his hands. Didn't catch the football very well. Purdy and Hall rebounded, I thought were adequate, but they're not playing as well as they need to play. Defensively, though, this is a good defensive unit that Iowa State has. Now, Iowa and Northern Iowa, if you look at it in this game, I didn't think it was the same type of challenge, but a challenge nonetheless. They held UNLV to 130 yards on 50 plays. Really impressive how they were able to get off the field. I thought Jerry Vaughn was outstanding, very active, penetrating, getting in the backfield, made some big-time plays. Xavier Hutchinson, as I mentioned, on offense, did some good things. Purdy and Hall rebounded. Rose was a really good, graded pretty well on the defensive side. So overall, some good performances there. But I just think this team has not quite hit their stride yet, and I'm very curious to see where things go forward. I want to get into this week's actions, and we'll take any questions that you might have before we head on. Looking for a place to bet on NFL and NCAA football? BetDSI is an industry leader in football betting and the perfect sports book for both the novice and professional bettors alike. And BetDSI, you can also enjoy live in-game betting. You can bet your favorite teams all game long, including prop bets on nearly every play to the final whistle. Use your sports and pop culture knowledge to make some extra cash this week. BetDSI has very user-friendly interface. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, so simply play, win, and get paid. BetDSI offers betting options for everything. Bet on NFL, college football, you name it, everything. Try betting at DSI where you can bet on every major sport through the entire game, every play, every minute. New members, get this. New members get a 100% bonus match using promo code Landry100. That's all caps, Landry 100. That's more than double your money to start winning today. That's Landry 100. Bet DSI today. So before we head on out here, let's take a look at the action this week. As I mentioned, Baylor at Iowa State at home. Kansas has got Duke. Kansas State at Oklahoma State, which is one of the most intriguing games. Oklahoma, West Virginia, which is the most intriguing game. TCU's got SMU, Texas at Texas Tech, and that's it. As we've got kind of crossover. So again, all these games will be broken down inside the film room over at LandryFootball.com. So check that out. Take advantage of the football season sale today. You get all the detailed breakdowns of every game in this conference and every other conference. We'll also have all the breakdowns of all the NFL games. So you can't miss it. You don't want to miss it. What a great opportunity at LandryFootball.com. Hey, no questions here, so we appreciate everybody joining us. Join us next time inside the film room at twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football. We'll take your questions, your comments. We appreciate your thoughts. Maybe we need to do this at a different time of day. I don't know if this is not a great time for your involvement, but we certainly want you to sign up for Big 12 football and beyond wherever you get your podcast, and certainly watch us live at twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football. Hey, appreciate you joining us. Talk to you next time. We'll talk to you later today. We've got Alabama football scouting report, and we've got the Landry Football Podcast at 5 p.m. Central. So see you later today, everybody. So long, and have a great one.